Our WPCA and regular town council meeting of North Branford, Connecticut to order at 6:32. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Angeloni.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McMillan.
Present.
Councilor Abelson.
Here.
Councilor Diamond. Here. Councilor Goad.
Here.
Councilor Miller.
Here.
Councilor Palladino.
Here.
Councilor Felicia.
Here.
Okay. On to item 2, minutes of previous meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the November 19th, 2024 WPCA and Town Council meeting minutes? So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Oppose? Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay. On to WPCA. First item, correspondence, citizen statements regarding WPCA. None. There's no unfinished business. No new business. Citizen statements and petitions for WPCA. None. Okay. Moving on to the regular town council meeting, community events and presentations. Seeing none, moving on to reports of committees, boards, and commissions. First is Economic Development Commission.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. I didn't get my notes together, sorry.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, Park and Recreation. Park and Recreation met last week, and the director, Jesse, went over the October and November kind of month in review. Their after-school program is going well. This year they have partnered with the YMCA, and actually the YMCA is actually running the program at Park and Rec, at the Park and Rec facility. And so they have that. Their monthly meals are doing well. Their rec programs continue to be steady. They've had a lot going on the last couple months between the Halloween parties. They've also started to do more sensory-friendly activities. They have partnered with Beyond Horizons, and that has been very well received in town. Also, they did the trunk or treat. They had the Veterans Luncheon in November. They had the Thanksgiving Luncheon. The Senior Christmas Luncheon will be Thursday of this week. That is sponsored by the Potato and Corn Festival Committee, and also Rotary is sponsoring that. So a lot has been going on at Park and Rec. Next is Police Commission.
Well, I have to say that both the regular meeting and the special meeting of the month were canceled.
Okay, you had a good month there then. Fire Commission.
All right, Fire Commission met Company 1 on December 5th. Went through all the regular early parts of the meeting. They did get a note from North Haven thanking them for their assistance with the brush fire on the 26th of October. So we also thank you for the mutual aid on that. Report from the chief. Initially, you had indicated that we were going to look to donate Tower 1 to North Carolina, and they no longer want that. So it's been put on a site called The Garage. Am I correct on that? The Garage?
Yep.
And it was initially put in for $5,000, but it's received several bids, and it's up to $12,000. The sale ends in about a week and a half.
Actually, it closed and we ended up getting 15.
Okay, so that's good. It's different from here, so 15K, of course.
North Carolina didn't want it, huh?
All right.
No one had any requests for any tower trucks amongst the communities that were devastated, so they said find another means to, so.
Okay. Would you be willing to give a little report on if the big man in red is going to be coming around any further from what has already been done with Company 1?
I believe Company 1 did it this past Saturday, and 2 and 3 will be doing it, I believe, on Christmas Eve. Company 2 does it more towards night.
Sure.
I believe Company 3 does it more towards the afternoon.
And will they do the same with?
They'll post it on their
trucks?
Facebook pages with their location, their routes, and everything else.
That's
and-
fantastic. Okay, just make everyone know, because I know some people in one, there were some things that came to us that it happened this past weekend, and they were a little confused if this weekend some of the other companies were doing it. So that is indeed happening. And that's pretty much what we went through there. I went through some pension corrections and things such as that as well. Next meeting is on the 6th of January.
Okay. Planning and Zoning Commission? You walked in right down there, Mr. Gambino.
Planning and zoning had a public hearing on the zoning change, or the request for zoning change on, for the duty property and Total Interiors, the next door neighbor. Public hearing, and they attempted to take some action. There was a motion made, never seconded, so nothing took place. Other than that, it was business as usual.
Okay. Finance Subcommittee, our meeting was canceled for this month. There was nothing on the agenda. Anything that needs to be handled is on our agenda for tonight.
Yes.
Public Safety Communications Subcommittee. Inland Wetlands.
Okay, inland wetlands met on November 20th. The main item on the agenda was the high school athletic storage facility. The commission needed more information, so it will be on the agenda tomorrow night at their commission meeting.
Okay. Blueprint Committee.
We didn't have a meeting in December. What we did do in November was we got an update on the town center committee, and they were going to present something here to us tonight, but we need to table it because they had no members to show up. So.
Oh. Okay. Okay. So item IA, we will just table to next month. That's fine. On to town manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. As was mentioned, we had our Thanksgiving Day lunch at the Senior Center. Our annual Thanksgiving Day luncheon was put on by the North Branford Park and Rec and Senior Center staff at STW Community Center on Thursday the 21st. I was pleased to join Mayor Angeloni, Councilor Abelson, Public Works Director Fran Marola, Deputy Public Works Director Dan Celentano, and many Public Works personnel who also served our seniors at this great annual event. Thanks to our Parks and Recreation and Senior Center staff that made this event possible. Jessica Tano, Carrie Haynes, Jess Cave, Kathy Poston, Sarah Brown, and Chef Tony Delizio, who once again shined with a lunch of turkey stuffing and all the trappings. This year, our annual tree lighting ceremony was held Friday, December 6th at Auger Park, 290 Forest Road, Northford. The event featured holiday festivities, including ice carving, marshmallow toasting, hay rides, cookies and cocoa, and of course, Santa. Limited edition collectible holiday tree ornaments were made available for $5 each at the tree lighting ceremony, and some remain available. They can be picked up at STW in the Parks and Recreation office, and again, the price is $5. We added a fireworks display at the end of the tree lighting ceremony, which was made possible through generous donations of sponsors. The fireworks went forward as we were outside of the burn ban and risk of the previous bout of dry weather. The fireworks display added a touch that was unique to the ceremony and appeared to be enjoyed by all who attended. We had a sensory-friendly Santa event, which was held Saturday, December 14th by our Parks and Recreation team in partnership with Beyond the Horizon for individuals on our special needs community. This past week, we held our third annual town employee holiday party at Capone's Pizza Bar and Grill on Route 80. This year, we had over 44 employees join in what was a high water mark to date. Fun time was had by all, and special thanks to Mayor Angeloni and Deputy Mayor McMillan for joining us for the evening. After 2 Mondays in a row with inclement weather, our flashlight candy cane hunt at Northford Park will be taking place Monday, December 23rd for $5 with a $2 sibling discount. Participants use flashlights to find candy in 3 separate categories, ages 2 to 4, 5 to 7, and 8+. During each run, there will be an opportunity to find the golden candy cane, which can be redeemed for a special gift. Participants should bring flashlights and bags to collect candy canes. The event runs from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. and is followed by a massive fireworks show. Just kidding. Our annual holiday light decorating contest, Light Up North Branford, is underway. The deadline to submit your home or in the contest is passed, and the map of participating homes can be found on the Park and Rec website, nbrecreation.com, and Facebook page, and on my Facebook page and X account. Don't miss out on viewing some of the amazing holiday displays our neighbors have put out this season. Prizes are being awarded for Best Overall Display, Brightest Display, Most Original Display, and Classic Display. Winners are determined by a panel of judges. Sounds like some Star Chamber stuff to me, but. The annual holiday lunch at Stanley T. Williams Community Center will take place this Thursday, December 19th at noon. As mentioned, it's sponsored by POCO and Rotary. And there's the New Year's Eve lunch Thursday, January 2nd, 12 o'clock noon at STW. As you know, we've received our first shipment of 3x5 outdoor town flags, and we are making them available to the public. Residents can purchase these flags for $40 a piece in check, cash, or check in the purchasing office. There's an online purchase form now on the town website to place an order with pickup in the purchasing office. So far, we've sold 15 flags to residents and businesses, and I expect we'll get some more sold in spring when the better flag waving weather arrives. As you know, we're undergoing our state-mandated revaluation process, and we're at the phase where letters of new valuation letters have now gone out to residents. As we expected, all home prices have jumped since our last revaluation in 2020. Our median increase in North Branford is 36%, which is consistent with other communities statewide, including neighboring North Haven and Wallingford. An increase in value does not translate into a tax increase. When the council sets the mill rate in the next budget cycle, the mill rate will be adjusted accordingly. The revaluation notice has contact information to set up a meeting with an appraiser from the revaluation company. And we currently have 180 residents who have availed themselves of the informal hearing process with Munival. Homeowners should know that there are further appeals available on an assessment they might disagree with, beginning with the Board of Assessment Appeals in March of 2025. Again, there's a frequently asked questions section about revaluation on the front page of our website to answer questions residents may have. And we've provided information to local media outlets such as the Totucket Times and the Sound, as well as included in my monthly email newsletter and posted on Facebook and X pages. Our assessor's office is also available to handle any inquiries, and our assessor Dave Ambrose is here tonight to answer any further questions anybody might have before we go forward.
Good evening. Mike mentioned there's 180 calls for hearings, informal hearings. I could safely say that 95% of those calls were tax concerns. So out of the 180 people, I expect around 10% to proceed to the Board of Appeals, which I think is a pretty low number. I was expecting upward toward 500 calls for informal hearings. Any questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The Public Works Department has restocked its sand and salt mix shed, and town residents are welcome to fill up for residential driveway use during winter weather. You can come to 290 Forest Road, Northford, 24/7. This is open to residents only, no contractors, and limit is 2 5-gallon pails. I want to extend a special thanks to the thoughtful students and professionals at the North Branford School to Work Transition Program who presented us with a beautiful holiday wreath the day after Thanksgiving here at Town Hall. It was a great way to start the holiday season. No one wants to think about dead, discarded Christmas trees quite yet. However, our townwide collection of discarded Christmas trees will take place on your regularly scheduled trash collection day between January 6th and 17th, 2025. Please discard only real trees. Lights and ornaments should be removed before placing them curbside.
What if they identify as real trees?
They grew organically. Just a reminder that I put out a monthly email newsletter that goes out on the 4th Friday of every month, and in consideration of the holidays, the next one goes out this Friday, December 20th. The newsletter contains news and announcements from the town and is a great way to keep up with what we have happening in town. There's a sign-up form on the front page of on my page on the town website to receive the newsletter. And also as a reminder, we have a town emergency notifications available through Civic Ready that residents can sign up for. You can text North Branford, no spaces, to 38276 to get emergency alerts and community notifications. You can also sign up online at northbrantfordct.gov/alerts or call 475-655-0400 to sign up via phone. Notifications go out via text, email, and phone call. I did want to note that and report that at our last council meeting, Councilor Abelson inquired about potential federal funding for the extension of sewers on Route 80. And first, in speaking with Representative Candelora, one of the potential sources he's looking at to get at the state level is from federally provided lump sum dollars that go into the state's Clean Water Fund. However, I did have conversations with both Rosa DeLaura's office and Senator Richard Blumenthal's office and asked about the possibility of congressionally directed spending as a possible source. CDS needs to line up with federal programming through which the federal funding is designated, so it doesn't appear to apply to that project. I think it's important to note that over the decades, even going back to my first stint on the council, we've looked for federal funding for the sewer expansion, and there hasn't been any to be found. And in my discussions with Representative Candelora, he does not believe there is any to be obtained either, but that doesn't mean I'll stop looking.
Thank you.
Councilor Palladino also raised the point at our last meeting if there might be FEMA funding available for the Edward Smith HVAC project, considering we use it as a shelter during extreme weather protocol activations, and it was a great question. Unfortunately, I found that FEMA funds for emergency preparedness are exclusively used to fund EOCs and not shelters, and the resiliency funding is also not for shelters either. There are federal grants available to libraries from the Institute of Museum and Library Services, but those are usually programmatic funds in smaller amounts, like maybe 10 to 20,000. And I doubt this will qualify, but I'll explore that.
Thank you.
In observance of the Christmas holiday, town offices will be closed at noon on Christmas Eve, Tuesday, December 24th, and closed Christmas Day, Wednesday, December 25th. In recognition of the New Year holiday, town offices will be closed at noon on New Year's Eve, Tuesday, December 31st, 2024, and closed New Year's Day, Wednesday, January 1st, 2025. Those with business to transact in our offices should plan accordingly. Also, Christmas and New Year's Day are both trash holidays. Refuse collection on or after the holiday will be conducted one day later during the collection week. As this is our last meeting before the holidays, I want to take this opportunity to wish all of you and our residents a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and a Happy New Year. That concludes my report.
I just have a question. I know that we had a water, the RWA was out fixing a water problem.
Right.
And I know there were a lot of the residents said they did not get notified,
Right.
even though RWA told us that they did notify them.
Right.
So are we able, like if they're signed up for Civic Ready and we know that even if it's after hours, can we send out messages?
We could, hypothetically, yeah. I mean, that incident happened like on a Sunday night, and so,
Yeah.
you know, hard to say that we could, but I think we could make an effort to do that once we get a notification.
And
from them.
has
But
RWA gotten back to you
They
yet?
have not. So I, as you know, asked, a number of residents pointed out to me that they had in fact not been contacted by RWA, although RWA represented to me that they had. I did inquire by email and have inquired by phone when I didn't hear back. So far, they haven't answered me, but I kind of wanted to run down exactly how it is they make the
Notify.
notifications and verify that they've made the receipt. So
Okay.
I'm still pursuing that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Town Manager Report, Permanent Project Building Committee.
For the North Branford Police Department, the building is complete with a minor punch list remaining. The Butler Building drainage issue is being reviewed and correction is in process. The third-party HVAC consultant final report was received last night by PPBC and is currently under review. North Branford High School, the punch list update, Q, A, and M in Gilbane are working through the final phases, and some work has been scheduled during the holiday break, and a review of the exterior glass is planned. North Branford Intermediate School, the majority of the base project is complete, and currently they're on a winter pause. Siding will commence when the weather permits. Stanley T. Williams Pavilion Project, the permits have been obtained, and the work is set to begin in the spring. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence.
Good evening. Cliff Potter from Northford, for the record, because I was the planning and zoning and the concerned citizen said I didn't identify myself, so that part's legal. I was embarrassed by the actions of the planning and zoning committee that night. I've harped on you guys wondering who has training and who hasn't. A very prominent business in town, all they were here for was a zone change. You would have thought they were going to blow up North Branford. They were mistreated, a lot of bad comments. I won't use names because that would be improper. But the commission members, by saying nothing when it was time to vote, you can look at the film, see who they are, said so much. I don't know if they're not informed of what can happen, but this thing died on the vine, which it should not have. It was just a zoning change. More public hearings. And I see it happen next to me because they're building houses. When this foundation goes in, the town inspectors are there. If there's a public hearing like we've had. So again, I want to put you on notice that if we got people on commissions, they can do a lot of damage if they're not properly trained and if they're not properly informed. Tommy witnessed it. It hurt. It hurt this prominent businessman. This was it was not the way to end the zoning meeting. They could have done a couple other actions. I don't know if they didn't know what they could do, but only one member, and I won't name who, they just sat there and just said nothing. And it really was embarrassing. So I think we need to tighten up our training on our commission members. I mean, the duties, they give back so much to the town, and they were treated terribly that night. The meeting did not go well. Procedures weren't followed. I was the first one that spoke in favor. The chairman said, those in favor, don't you know, well, a woman comes up behind me and she's not in favor, and she was allowed to continue in talking. And I just felt the meeting never got to the point where they fully needed to follow procedures and fully treat that applicant. So again, I don't know if I'm wrong, let me know, because I can say I'm sorry. I had to the chairman because somebody input he said. But I just feel that we got to tighten up the experience level or the knowledge level of such big important things. And in the end, who lost? The town did. Because now they're still residential. They can't be billed as commercial taxes. I don't know if they plan to come back or not. And if they're residential, another action later on that night was affordable housing. And the town planner had to inform them, you have to vote yes on this. If I was John Duty, I'd open up that acreage and put in public housing, low income. And they could not stop that by law. So again, that's not what we want to see. But I think the problem lies with whoever sits up there. Not so much the chairman. He really tried to make it work. But it was a zoo. And I don't know. I know the procedure, and I know what they're supposed to do. But do they know what they're supposed to do? They could have voted no. But they just sat there and sat there. And even the chairman polled them again. And they just sat there and sat there. So by saying no, nothing, they've said so much. And it's embarrassing. I don't think our town zoning commission should run like that. So I hope somebody will look into this, improve what goes on, and again, the duties were dealt a raw deal. That's my personal opinion, but they were dealt a raw deal that night. And whoever asked about how to identify a tree, I remember when I first became agriculture chairman, a wise gentleman said to me, well, you can always tell a tree by its bark. Look at the dogwood tree. End of the jokes.
Madam Mayor, if I could just get to the point that was raised about the training, I just did want to point out that all of our land use board members are required to undergo state training, and as far as planning and zoning goes, all of the members have taken that training, save one, the new member. Also, the town attorney and I have provided 2 rounds of training for all boards and commission members for both procedure, Robert's Rules of Order, and FOI compliance. And many of the I can't say exactly how many, but I know at least 3, it might be 4 of the Planning and Zoning Commission members that did attend those.
Okay.
And they have some training they mentioned coming up, I believe, this spring or summer,
Right.
that they're all required to go through.
They're all, yeah, it's all continuing
Yeah,
requirements, right?
continuing ed.
Yep, yes.
Okay. Any other citizens?
Chrisanne Vogt, 240 Forest Road, Northford, Connecticut. I'm very disappointed that once again, we're not going to hear from the Town Center Subcommittee. This is an email I wrote to members of the Blueprint Commission and to yourself, Mayor Angeloni. Would it be appropriate for me to read it now?
Sure.
I found the last Blueprint Committee meeting of 11/21 concerning the Town Center project vague. I hope you can clarify some points. On page 3 of the September 26 minutes, Member Heon says that the Town Center Subcommittee would create a concept and then recommend it to the Blueprint Committee so it could be approved and brought to the Town Council. I would have liked to have heard about this concept before the bidding process begins. When Member Szymanski asked in the November 21st meeting if the Town Center Subcommittee would be presenting their vision, she was answered by Member Heon, the subcommittee has ideas of what they would like to have on the property, but they are not going to spend time coming up with all this stuff if we don't know if we can do it or where on the property it can be done. Well, what are their ideas? The Town Center Subcommittee has been meeting since June of 2024. Surely they have narrowed down their wish list to be included in the RFP. My next question is, where exactly are the property boundaries for this vision? The POCO grounds is not a good description. No one at the meeting seemed to be able to answer this question, and numbers off the top of one's head, i.e. 50 acres, are insulting to the public. During the meeting, we were assured the project would not cross the bridge to the big hayfield, Auger Park. Number 2, Wallfield and Swychuck Park would not be a part of the plan. And 3, don't worry about public works and the fire building. They stay no matter what. I would have liked to have seen those statements in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if I should give these now, but Al Rose is sick. He was supposed to present the stuff for the police station. Wanted me to hand out the pamphlets so you guys had them. Here's a report from the PD.
Thank you.
I only had an hour to make them, so I did the best I can.
Awesome job,
Thank you. The second to the last page says it all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Victor. Any other citizen statements? Okay. Okay, so we have a public hearing at 7 o'clock. Would someone like to read the notice? It's on page 18 of our packet, the posting.
Oh, yeah. You read it? Okay, go.
Yep.
Notice of public hearing. The North Branford Town Council will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the North Branford Town Hall Council Chambers. The purpose of the public hearing will be to hear comments on proposed ordinance number 2024-2, which amends Chapter 4 of the Code of the Town of North Branford entitled Agriculture Commission as summarized below. Amendments include changing the membership to 5 electors, eliminating a member from the Town Council. Appointments will be subject to state minority representation requirements and adjusting term of office to coincide with new membership. A copy of the proposed ordinance is on file in the office of the town clerk and was posted on the town website. Dated at North Branford, Connecticut, this 27th day of November 2024. Lisa Valente, MMC, North Branford Town Clerk. Publication date was December 12, 2024 in the Sound.
Okay. So I'd like to open the public hearing at 7:03. Do we have any comments from the public in regards to the proposed changes to the Ag Commission?
Past chairman and too old to be a member, I think this is a great thing. We're a farming town. It came up during Chicken Gate that there's some advice needed. You've got to protect the farmers in town because the state really doesn't help them. As Willie found out, there is no help at the state level. And Willie's Facebook says if they don't vote, they're trying to keep the government open. If they don't vote the farm bill in the next few days at the highest level in the country, farmers are still going to be, I mean, we got to get our food from someplace. I mean, they've got to realize the importance of agriculture, and we know the importance at the town level, so I'm fully in favor of this, and I hope it happens soon. And any information I got from the past, you're welcome to. Thank you.
Just a minute, Mr. Ambrose, there's an item coming up on the agenda. Oh, okay.
Kara Papa, thank you all for being here and always volunteering to be elected. I appreciate that. 65 Great Hill Road in North Branford. I just want to say thank you so much for putting the Ag Commission back on and listening to us, regardless if it was Chicken Gate or not. And I just wanted to ask one question with the change. I noticed that you said that you took a town council member off the commission. Will that make it so it's a lower commission and won't?
No, it'll still be 5 members.
And they'll be able to come here and update you as the other commissions and, okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comments in regards, the public hearing is still open in regards to the Ag Commission?
When we first formed the commission, Al Rose, Mike Duty were on the council, and the town planner was Carol Zebb. We felt that the knowledge both Al and both Mike brought would be very helpful to the new. We were brand new. We didn't know what we were getting into. So that's why it was written up that way. I'm sure the farmers will still give you input, but I don't think you need a council member. You go to so many meetings now, I don't think you need to. So it's a good thing to just rewrite it the way it is. The information will still be attainable, but at the time we just had 2 active farmers on the town council. So that's why there's a change, and it's a good change, so you can get good candidates.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:06 p.m. Later on in the agenda is when we'll take action in regards to this. Okay, so we will continue on with our meeting. Next item on the agenda is resignations and appointments. Seeing none, moving on to item 12. First item is proposed North Branford High School Athletic Storage Building. This is just staying on our agenda until we are waiting for them to come forward with their budget. I know they have been, John Florio and Scott Schoonmaker have been working with the Permanent Project Building Committee, Dave Palumbo and Victor Pediandria, and they are not ready yet with that information to come forward to us. Next item is reconstitution of the Ag Commission.
That's right.
So,
Is there a pre-prepared?
yeah.
There is a motion.
Yep, it's on page 26.
All right. I motion that the North Branford Town Council hereby adopts proposed ordinance 2024-2, amending Chapter 4 of the Code, North Branford, entitled Agricultural Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Palladino. Any discussion? I have one suggestion, Mike. If we can publish something in the Totucket Times asking for members interested in serving on the Ag Commission.
Okay.
And just because because I know there's something about three are farmers and 2 interested in farming, whatever the ordinance states in there, just so that we can have that information and publish it.
Sure, sort of like we did with the blueprint
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
commission and the veteran service.
yep,
Sure.
Yep.
Just want to note one thing too. Due to the holidays, it's likely that we won't be able to publish the ordinance until January 2nd. There's a 21-day period before it gets published and then it becomes enacted. So that actually is after your next council meeting. I have no idea whether you have an intention to nominate or appoint anybody to it at the next council meeting, but if you do, you could do it as long as you made it effective after the date
After that
of the
date.
ordinance taking effect.
yeah. I mean, it'll give us time to publish in the Totucket Time and have people come forward. And if we do have some names and we can start making appointments, we can always make their appointments effective, whatever that 21 days is from when it's published.
Right.
That's fine.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay. So the motion is on the floor. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, on to new business discussion and action. First item is disposition of certain town-owned properties, Section 824 referral. Okay. So this started a couple months ago when the Blueprint Committee referred some property to the town council for disposition. So the first part of the process as to how it goes is that we needed to send it to Planning and Zoning for an 824 referral, which they took care of at their November meeting. So that came back favorable. And now the next part of this is for the council to decide what we want to do with these properties. And in our packet is current assessment data on here. So as the town attorney told us several months ago, is that once we have the 824 referral and that comes back, any of the property, if it's over $10,000 that we're seeking on the property, we have to have a public hearing on it first. And we also had discussion at our meeting for whether all of it, if we wanted to put it out to bid, all of the parcels out to bid, or if some of the parcels, if they're small and between 2 people on a road, rather than put it out to bid, is to contact the homeowners to see if any of them are interested, rather than selling it to a random person, and the land can't be built on anyway because it doesn't meet the specs for the area. So there's 5 parcels that we moved forward.
The goal here is to, from the Blueprint Committee, is to, we don't want to be landowners, you know, as a town. We want to get these back on the payroll, back on the tax roll, so that we're being used properly. So that's why these particular properties, as they were, yes, we kind of extracted everything that was there. There was some stuff that was, left over from developments that really wasn't useful. Sometimes when the development comes in, there's some language in that zoning that they have to either make a payment or give a portion of land back to the town, and usually it's the most non-usable piece. So there's a lot of stuff that could be serviceable. There was a couple pieces that were, butting up against two properties, and it would really only be something that either adjacent landowner would want. But we tried to extract some of the stuff that really didn't make a lot of sense, to things that actually could be brought to the public and could be utilized for either building lots or businesses or something to that extent, and that's what you see here. There are a few others that will come about as we go forward, but these are the ones that we see here so far.
Okay, so first one is 1599 Foxen Road, which is the old town hall. Personally, I think that one parcel is going to take a little bit more work.
I agree 100%.
And it's probably going to require some money for us to get appraisals and certain things done, which we don't have the money allocated. And we talked several months ago at the council meeting, is any of the other properties that are sold, we can take that money and put it into a fund like Economic Development Fund and use that money then for the development of 1599 or anything else that we deem satisfactory. So tonight I would like to focus on the other 4 properties and not 1599 at this point in time.
I agree with that. That's a piece that's kind of a corner piece of almost economically developed area. It's supposed to be our economically developed area, so that'll take some time to look at.
Okay. So, Dave, can you just, so I see in here, these are the new assessments for these properties?
I'm not sure. What list is that?
Um,
You have in front of you?
November 21st?
Yeah, it says 2024.
Okay.
So we have the assessed value and the appraised value on here. So the first one is 127 Old Post Road, has an assessed value of $37,000, and if I read this correctly, so I'm on page 32 of our packet. So it looks like this is an R40 zone, 0.4 acres on here. Now I see on here it says all buildings raised, non-conforming previously, contamination. So has contamination been
Mediated?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
okay.
We know the form of contamination?
I can find out really quickly.
Well, because I think part of, like, if we're going to put it up for bid, if we're going to do RFPs, that people, if anyone interested has to bid on it, I think we need to establish if we're going to put a minimum bid based on appraised value. But if there's things like this on here, contamination and whatever else, you need to take that into consideration when you set a minimum bid.
Yeah, the value is based upon the property being contaminated. It's rated discounted because of the contamination.
So it's already discounted because of,
The value is discounted because of the contamination.
okay.
So if I had to guess, I would guess it hasn't been remediated as of today. But I'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
Is it considered a building lot?
Well, it's an R40 zone, so if it's 0.4 acres, my guess is it's not a building lot,
No, it's not.
correct?
Right, it's not being valued as a building lot, even before contamination. So it's not a building lot.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So the assessed value right now is at $37,000.
Butter would be interested though.
Yeah, that's what the thought process was.
Right, but my guess is we would want more than $10,000 as, on this, even for if it's in a butter. If it's assessed at 37, appraised value is.
52.9.
So does that mean if it's over $10,000, if we put a minimum bid of $10,000, it has to go out to bid?
No, it means we have to have a public hearing. And any property over 10,000 that we want more than $10,000, we
It
have
just
to.
has to go to a public hearing?
We have to have a public hearing first before we put it out to bid.
If I may, on all of these properties, I took a look at the field cards while you've been discussing these. They all have appraised values per the assessor of significantly more than $10,000. So 7163E of the statutes requires you to both post a sign on the property as well as have a public hearing, since the fair market value is $10,000 or more in this case. And you can do your sale any number of ways. You can have a public auction, you can conduct it yourself, you could have bids just come into town, you could put it out with a realtor, or retain a realtor to market and sell it to the highest bidder.
So the question is, can we go to the person who abuts the property and ask him to purchase the property?
Yes.
Without going out,
Yeah.
even though we're
If
still having a
interested.
public hearing?
Right, public hearing.
We still need to have a public hearing on it.
As long as we have a public hearing.
Yeah, so as we discussed earlier
Right.
in September, we were gonna kind of keep these 5 parcels all together. So we sent all 5 for the 824 referral. So if we need to have a public hearing, we would just have a public hearing on all 5 so that we keep the process in the same, everyone's lined up. We don't necessarily have to act on all of them at once, but at least we've gone through the process together on all of those properties.
Now, if the, all of them are over $10,000 and it's all gonna be a public hearing and it goes to the highest bidder, basically.
Well, it wouldn't go at the public hearing, it wouldn't go to the highest bidder.
Now, the public hearing is not like an auction kind of public hearing. It's so members of the public can come and say, yeah, you should sell these, or no, you should never sell this. My neighborhood likes this. We fish there or whatever,
So it's basically they can speak out
But when
against
it
selling
does,
it.
when it does come up, it's going to the highest bidder, so it doesn't necessarily, we don't really have to offer it to the butters first because it's going to the highest bidder.
It's whatever we decide we want to do with it. And each property can be separate. Like, because there's something on Nida Drive. So we might decide that we want to check with the neighbors first to see if anyone's interested. If they're not, we can always go out to bid afterwards if they're not interested.
Mostly the neighbors.
But isn't the neighbor's gonna have to bid for it though, right?
Well, we can tell them what the minimum bid is. This is what we've set as the minimum bid for it. If they're interested.
So we can give them the first right of refusal?
Yes.
Yeah, however you want to.
So there's 3 properties
come up
here
with
that
value.
but
Yep.
those are the people that we're gonna go to and say, this is what we want. If you don't, it's gonna go up for bid. Basically.
Dave, I have a question.
Sure.
If it's not considered a building lot, would somebody be allowed to put like a camper or RV on it?
That's a zoning question. That's more for a zoning.
Because we want to be careful with that too. If somebody sees this, we don't want to ruin a neighborhood and piss off neighbors either. So I think we want to make sure we do this the right way and avoid anything like that happening.
So I get, so that was Old Post Road. Let me see, I had a question on, that's 127 Old Post Road. Then there's 53 Nida Drive? Okay, so are there 2 parcels on this one? It looks like 0.92 acres and 2.11?
It's a 1 acre zone, so the primary building lot is 1 acre, so that 1 acre is priced per building lot. The excess acreage, anything over 0.92 is excess acreage and is priced at a reduced rate.
Okay, and the one it says here on the card, 0.92 acres.
That's an acre, but that's a building acre.
But under notes, it says wet, so is this wetlands?
There's
a stream running through it.
There's no discount, I don't see, yeah, there's a condition factor of 50%, so that must be some kind of wetland.
So is it really a building lot? Yeah.
Rose, if I could say, these are valued based upon mass appraisal methodologies. I'd like to individually appraise each one of these separately. If that's
Okay.
something you want me to do, I think that's the best route.
Yeah, I think we need to understand that before we,
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go. And also, I did a comprehensive appraisal for the council back in 17 for $1,599. I did a commercial appraisal for the property.
okay.
You already did that?
Yeah, I did it 8 years ago.
Yeah,
I requested the council. After Al Rose.
Yeah, so,
Could you upgrade that?
Absolutely. I could update it.
okay.
That'd be good to say.
So is it the pleasure of the council to wait for
Yes.
Dave Ambrose to come back with this, and then we can decide what we want, if we want to go to a public hearing or
Yes.
to see what his thing is?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. These are based upon mass appraisal values, and if I appraise each one individually, I think you get a better sense of the value based upon actual land sales.
Okay, that would be great.
And Madam Mayor, I'd also suggest that you ask your zoning staff to weigh in on these as well. They can tell you, is it buildable? What variances would be needed should someone want to build? Are there setbacks, coverage, all that kind of things? What can be used? That's a great question. Could someone store their boat there, or their equipment there on the property? So you have a full understanding as what can be done if someone purchases it.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so we're gonna, do I have a motion to table this and put it under unfinished business so we can just come back to this next month?
Motion to table
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
item
All right, thanks, Dave.
12B, I'm sorry.
13A.
Item 13A, disposition of town-owned properties, section 8-24 referral, table to unfinished business.
Second?
Second.
Motion has been made to table by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Palladino. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Okay. And Mike, you'll work with Dave Perkins on
Yes.
that to get more information, and then Dave Ambrose. Thank you so much, Dave.
You're welcome.
Next item is license agreement modification for North Branford Food Pantry. Okay, page 44 of our packet. So they're, just so that we'll just state this. So the council recently entered into a license agreement with the food pantry. They have been doing extensive work in the old police department, and that is where the food pantry will be moving. They will probably be ready to move shortly after the first of the year. Their current lease in their current location is until April 30th, and they need to pay out their lease to April 30th. So as not to burden them with 2 lease payments on there, the council has asked the town manager to write something up so that we're going to delay, instead of them starting to pay their lease on January 1st, we're going to delay it until May 1st to help them out, so they only have 1 lease payment.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So I'd like to make a motion that North Branford Town Council hereby authorizes Town Manager Michael P. Downs to enter into a modified license agreement with the Food Pantry of North Branford, Inc. for the property and building at 260 Forest Road, changing the commencement date of their payment due from January 1st, 2025 to May 1st, 2025.
Second.
Do I need to, before we do that, do we need to add to that they can start, in the motion, that they can still enter the property or start?
They've already said
I'm saying-
that. That was part of the
Well,
original.
there's a building part of it though, but that wasn't, this doesn't change their ability to actually function.
Nope, this would only modify the one
Good, okay.
section.
Just wanted to make sure I didn't have to
pertaining
add that to the suggested motion.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, the motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Diamond. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Next item is HVAC at the Edward Smith Library. I believe we're waiting.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, we were expecting to have the report ready for you even up until this afternoon, but it is not ready for us, so
Okay.
we'll present that when it is ready.
Okay, very good. Next item is NIP funds request for a plastic film large recycle bin for the DPW yard.
I'd like to bring up Dan Celentano from Public Works on this item, Madam Mayor.
Good evening. So a couple months prior, we purchased 3 smaller bins for battery collection, eyeglasses, and something else off the top of my head. We were trying to clean up the town buildings from like town hall entrance here, had a bunch of boxes of eyeglasses and batteries and dust and junk. So following that up, there's a memo in your packet for a bin for plastic collection. Currently, we do it at the libraries and a couple other places around town, and when somebody brings in their wet plastic in the library, it sort of doesn't smell right, and so we're looking to follow it up by purchasing this bin with NIP money.
Okay.
You have a picture of this bin?
Yeah, is it in the packet?
Yeah, it is.
Is it?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It looks like,
It's like a
is it
diagram.
Kiducation?
Page 55,
Oh, okay, it's down there, okay.
yes.
Nice bin.
It's like a 4 foot wide by 6
Similar
foot
to the
tall.
ones Before, right? Is it big?
This is, 4 foot wide, 5 foot tall, roughly. So it's just to finish up our little recycling station we're trying to build, and
It's a nice bin.
Well, and
Absolutely.
it's accessible at all times.
yeah, it's 24/7, 365, so people could bring it at any time they want.
Okay,
We've been waiting to put it out on Facebook until we get this bin and finish it up.
great.
Town website, Pawtucket Times.
And where's it gonna be?
Public Works, right next to the recycling garage. Yep.
Okay.
Camera on it.
Okay, so I don't think, is there?
I don't know if there's just a motion
Is
here.
that-
It's
Yeah, you can just make one
I'll
up.
make a motion to allow for the NIP funds, NIP funds account to purchase the plastic film large recycle bin for DPW yard at 3290 Foxen Road. Or,
No,
sorry,
the
Forest
cost.
Road. Oh, sorry.
$3,290.
Okay, all right, yeah. Over in Forest Road. Yeah, I take back my motion. And where are we? Yeah, sorry. I just went past it, you see? I was trying to-
Keep going. No, the other way, the other way.
That's right here.
Sure.
329.
Yeah.
Dan, you sure this is big enough? Like, can we get the next size up for a little bit more money or something? You sure this is the size you need?
This is the size that will fit on the pad that's currently there, so it's the biggest we could go with.
All right.
Yeah,
Just wanna make sure we're not gonna find out 3 months from now, we should have the bigger one.
Yeah, no, it's about 12 times the size of what we're using now in the lobby, so.
And they get emptied frequently.
Yeah, the Has Waste Committee will maintain it. They're the ones who made the recommendation
So.
to purchase it.
Dress or give them.
The NIP funds. Okay, so a motion has been made, was there, by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Miller. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Use the funds and complete our recycling center.
Absolutely. It was on state contract too as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Next item is update on Twin Lakes Road.
Yes, Madam Mayor, for this item, I'd like to bring our Public Works Department up.
Gotta be related to reducing. So Chris couldn't make it tonight, so unfortunately he got stuck with me. So back in May last May, we talked about the design for Twin Lakes Road. And we had $100,000 that we had already had, and we needed an extra $100,000. But now the quotes are coming in at $150,000 we're gonna need. And the price is now 3.6 million for the project. That's what they're estimating right now. So we really got to get this thing going first. We need the money to do the job, which is a grant. And you know, like right now, we're looking at 26 for the project to happen. So the longer we wait,
Is it all covered by a grant?
the 3.6 million, yeah.
Oh,
We got to come up with 250,000.
okay.
That 250,000 is for design, and then we submit the design and we get the grant, which we're on the block for it. But we got to get it done. If we keep dragging our feet, it's going to be bye-bye.
So is there anything in the current CIP for this 250?
Well,
Negative.
150. We have to find 150. We have 100.
Oh, okay.
Remember back in May, we talked about we had the 100,000 in the capital CIP. And back then, we needed 100,000. It was 200,000 what they were estimating it. But we're out, and we're still quoting it more, but the beta group that's doing the project is at 250,000. So we have to come up with another 150.
Okay. So Anthony, where would we come up with this 150?
Well,
That's the big question.
what you could do is you get 301,000 annually from the state in that other capital project fund, which is kind of geared towards a town aid road mentality.
Okay.
They really want you to use that. So I guess the question to Franny was, if you started with 100,000 now, could we break it into pieces and then next July 1st?
Yes, I believe we can. Chris was just on the phone with him, and unfortunately he couldn't come tonight, but I believe, yeah, we could start it. We don't have to pay them 250,000 right off the kicker. They got to get something done.
Right.
But you have to make a commitment to us to say, we got the 150
Okay.
to finish off the project. It's going to take about, it was a year, right? It was a year design, right?
Yeah.
It's a year design for the project.
So the design phase would be all of 25, basically?
Just about, yeah.
And then
And
you
then it
would
goes
start
out
the
to
project
bid.
in 26?
It'll probably go out to bid then, and right now, it looks like it's slated for 26 for construction.
Okay, and can you just refresh our memory as to what has to be done to Twin Lakes
Oh,
Road?
it's a complete, not drainage-wise, a little bit of drainage work, but it's a complete reconstruction. From Tweech Road all the way to 80.
Oh,
Some of the areas have to be dug out a foot
okay.
and replaced. So it's a major. I mean, the drainage, when we did it last time, which was, I forget what year it was, I did the project, the drainage is basically upgraded. So we don't have to do too much drainage other than under drains.
Okay.
But
Franny, if we commit to this extra money, how do we lock in at that amount so that a year from now, it's not
Well,
200?
well, that's an estimate. It's got to go out to bid. So the lock-in is going to go out when we go out to bid.
When will it go out to bid?
2025.
After they do the engineering, after they do the design work next year?
So it is an estimate. I mean, it already went up from, I think it was 1.3 originally, and now they're talking about, no, 3.6. It was 3.2, and now it's 3.6.
I think Ron's
And
referring
it's
to the
state money. I
engineering
mean,
piece, all right?
What's that?
You're referring to the engineering upfront piece, aren't you? Or the back end piece?
Well, I'm looking to try to figure out how we can lock them into a price now or as soon as possible so that a year from now, the extra 150 doesn't become an extra 250.
Well, you can't lock anything in because you got to leave it open because you have to go out to bid.
Right, but if we
Here's
go
the
out to
issue.
bid sooner than later and we
Right,
sign the
the sooner-
contract,
that's right, the
once the
sooner-
contract's signed, we should be good, right?
But the sooner we go out to bid, the number stays. So we're already behind. We already went up once. So if we drag our feet more, it's going to be more.
Right, so I'm just saying we should be expeditious about this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, we want to hire sooner.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fran, this isn't just a retail.
No. This is a completely dig out. So we already did design stuff already. So the findings are in some areas that we have to dig down at least a foot or 2 feet of taking the material out and putting all new material back in. So the base is not good. So we're talking about, it's 25 years, I think, since we did Twin Lakes Road the last time reconstructed. That was all drainage, widening, because we had to meet certain standards for state line, federal guidelines.
So I asked about there's sewers on Twin Lakes Road?
Yep.
Does that affect it? Because, I mean, I don't know how deep the pipe goes underneath. It's not gonna affect the sewers?
Well, if the pipe is there, it's there. I mean, if we get down to it, we're gonna bury it again anyway. It's deep, it's pretty deep around there. We are gonna be changing the manholes, the covers and stuff, because they're the big monster ones that we don't need anymore. But as far as the piping and all that it's no effect, unless we break it.
So
There's some minor drainage that has to be done. I mean, all the catch basin tops are gonna change, but the structure should be in very good shape. But we are added some under drain and whatnot in there.
You devastated the road program this year.
Yeah.
We certainly did.
And to take the 150 out of the 301 is going to significantly impact 25, 26 as well. We have some capital project funds we're going to probably close out and move forward. I would say in the back of our mind, we would use the state money as a guarantee that we have the additional 150 if we had to. I think we can close out some additional capital projects that are lingering and come up with 150 from that. So
We just need a funding source. So if
Yeah.
we have the money,
I
whether
think
it's through,
the 301 is guaranteed. We'll have that next year. Every year we get that. So that's our ace in the pocket. We have that money and we can use it towards that.
but if you find,
But I think we could.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Other than road, because the road. is-
Right, I don't want to, my first comment was to take the 150 out of the 301 from next year.
Yeah.
And we already beat the heck out of the road program this year.
It already cost my department $15,000.
Right, so I don't want to beat it up next year going into it already behind the 8 ball. So if we could find money somewhere else, we'll use that money as our, if we had to use that 301 from next year, we'll use that for the
Right.
150.
Right.
But I think if we could find money elsewhere, close out some capital projects.
Basically, we really got to jump on this.
Yeah.
And it's been years that we've been talking about Twin Lakes Road, and we finally got up to the top to get this grant. So
How long is the grant?
$6 million versus 200.
Yeah.
Does the grant expire at any point in time?
We need to make a motion tonight to commit
I
for
don't
the
think so.
additional,
Let's do it.
the additional
Chris
cost.
has been talking to him. I mean, Victor started.
And I don't think we
it was
can put a
only
dollar
Kurt-
amount on
Kurt
it
started
because it
and
could change.
we finally got up to
We already
the-
have 100,000.
You guys should really look into that because I know most of the grants that we deal with, if they're not used by a certain time, then.
I think we're locked in because we already got the design going.
Okay.
So they know we're coming. We're on their docket as the project.
Okay.
Just that we have to
Okay.
get the design done.
No. Okay. So what do you need from us, Anthony? Do you need a motion to, how do you want
I
us
would
to word
make a
this?
motion to allow the Public Works Director and Town Engineer to engage an engineering firm for the design of Twin Lakes Road, which will avail us of the $3.6 million of money to construct Twin Lakes Road. 100,000 previously approved in prior CIPs. The balance, and again, leave it blank in case 250 becomes 275, whatever. The balance to be derived from the closeout of prior capital project funds.
Motion as stipulated by Town Finance Director.
Motion has been made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Abelson. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion passes. You're good to go for him.
Good, excellent. We'll start
Okay.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
He started tonight. He's already got it dug up already. Who's he kidding?
Okay.
They just sent the email.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is 2024-25 through 2029-30 capital improvement plan.
This is just the final step in the process. It was before you guys previously kicked out to planning and zoning for the 824 referral. You have in your packet the favorable review that Dave Perkins forwarded from P&Z. This just adopts it, gets it finalized, and more importantly, allows us to pay that gentleman that did the bridge work back in June to get him compensated.
Okay,
Should be a
so
motion there somewhere, I think.
Yeah, so I just have some questions. I'm on page 60 because that is the current 24-25, and that was the amended one after last month's
Yes.
meeting. So I see there's 3 items here under ARPA. I just want to make sure that we have purchase orders or invoices by December 30. Everyone's been contacted here?
All the department heads received an email earlier, late last week, I should say, earlier this week, I forget when it was, looking for that, make sure they all had POs in place. Most of them have been locked up. There's a couple of stragglers that I'm working with, we talked about earlier, but 99% of them are locked up with money.
Okay. And then on here, on this report, so we have the Public Works renovation expansion for 1.5 under bond funds, and then $1 million for the HVAC at Smith Library under bonding. Does that, because it's under the bonding column, are we locked in that we have to bond, or we
are not locked into that. We could certainly fund it, or I don't think we could fund the whole $2.5 million out of pocket, but we could certainly fund a piece of it. We talked also earlier about, or previously about, the end of the rope for the high school.
Yep.
And having Rusty kind of determine by next August what the delta is that potentially we could be on the hook from the state. We want to try to fund that piece. We can't fund it all in terms,
right?
But we can pick and choose some of the ones that are more manageable. I think the high school, because the state could be a multi-year delay getting that wrapped up, that might make sense to fund that out of pocket. But given the long term, the building's going to last you 20 years, so is there, logic to bond a 20-year bond? Certainly. The HVAC system, is it going to last you 20 years? Based on our prior experience, that may or may not. I don't know.
And that's still a very movable number.
Yeah.
We don't know what that number
So
is.
again, the key on both of those is the target is August when we go on the market. So by June, we need to have a firm handle on what we're going to do. Are we going to go on the market for those?
Okay, so we have some time in regards to that.
Yep.
But
just because it's in that column doesn't mean we're going to definitely bond it. It's just.
But because it's on this report, that means we're going ahead with the project. So Franny could move ahead on his project.
Once you guys make the motion, yeah, it's golden.
Okay. All righty. Okay, so there is a suggested motion on page 57 of our packet.
Be it hereby resolved that the North Branford Town Council adopts the 2024-25 to 2029-30 capital improvements plan pursuant to the favorable review by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. All right, Franny?
Very good, thank you.
2 for 2.
Do I go for 3?
I don't see you out anywhere else on this agenda. Next item is financial report.
Financial report for November 2024. Again, compares favorably to the prior period. Tax collection, one of the key things we look at, 54.7% this year, up from 54.2 last year. Overall revenue, 50.1, up from 46.3. On the expense side of the house, the same culprits that we talked about previously, the insurance, which we talked about as a function of the liability and auto policies. Emergency management shows over expended. Again, a lot of that, if you look at the expended column, it's only $6,700 against a $23,000 budget that's actually been spent. A lot of it's tied up in POs. Aside from that, there's nothing else remarkable to talk about. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Moving on to appropriation transfers.
Appropriation transfers. Apologize for the lengthy list you have in front of you. We just recently figured out how to do credit card statements for the year.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was
only 2 years coming.
Well, it's
great.
It's a process. So a lot of the departments had minor expenditures, over expenditures, I should say. That's the first few pages. Some of the big items going in to, I think it's the fourth page, some of the larger departments that had over expenditures. Town attorney, again, we had negotiations this past year. That drives up the town attorney budget a little bit. Technology, we historically never budgeted enough for technology. Everything we do today touches technology. We bought a bunch of the desktop scanners. Again, as part of the Munis process, we're digitizing everything, no more paper. Our drawers in the finance that used to be jam-packed with invoices and checks are now empty. Everything's digitized. Emergency management was over a little bit. We talked about that previously. That was the MBIS generator issue. Veterans was not budgeted last year. We did incur some expenses there, so that's why that one was short budget-wise. Aside from that, again, it's just basically a lot of year-end cleanup. I'm 99% sure this is the final one for 23-24, and we can put that year to bed. Another year in the black for the town, and hopefully we can get back on track. We've already done, I think, the first 2 months of this year's credit card. So once we have the routine down now and all the processes, it's going to go a lot smoother. Everybody cooperated, and the patience is appreciated because, again, it was frustrating that we couldn't get how to do it. And Dennis Pannone walked us through and saved everything, and each of the departments, again, has kicked in and addressed the invoices as they come to them promptly, and it's working a lot smoother.
Okay. So where are the accountants in regards to the audit?
The accountants, we had to file an extension for the December 31st because they needed the numbers by the 1st of December. So my hope is only a 1 month period of extension. I got to do the fixed assets still, because the other big topic that's out there, and that's all the 180 or 200 assets we bought as part of the radio project have to be added into the fixed asset program. That's the last lingering product that allow us to get the audit in place. The actuarial evaluation that we had last week, they wait for that. The GASB reports, they wait for that. Those are in now. The fixed assets is the last major piece. They can do the audit.
Okay. All right. So do I have a motion to?
That the town of North Branford, the town council hereby approves the following appropriation transfers as recommended by the town manager and the treasurer or finance director. Those appropriation transfers begin on page 69 through 84.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Councilor Goode. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay, citizen statements and petitions.
Madam Mayor, just wanted to note that in your packet, you have a piece of correspondence from Bill Savastano. I believe he hoped it would be read into the record.
Okay. So there is a statement from Bill Savastano. I'll read it into the agenda, into the minutes. Happy holiday season to all. Once again, our Park and Rec Department and North Branford Schools gave veterans a wonderful day of thanks for your service. I appreciate all they do. Really enjoy the kids in the schools with the question and answer. Also, Park and Rec continues through the holiday season with all different events. We all appreciate their efforts. Reference to Public Act 24-46, tax exemption for veterans with disabilities. I'm hearing that the way the act was written, it has caused some confusion and thus has opened the door for municipalities to interpret the benefits in different ways. I do know that when I went in the assessor's office with a 60% disability, I couldn't apply for anything. Hopefully this can be looked at and can explain any areas of confusion. Looking forward to some clarity. Last year, the council updated the tax relief for seniors disabled ordinance. This coming year, as we approach the budget season, I think we need to go a step further. I think we now need to implement a freeze on both taxes and assessments for all seniors that are 75 and older and who have lived in town and paid real property taxes for 20 years or more. Again, my suggestions are negotiable, but hopefully my intentions are clear, and that is we need to do more for those that are the most senior and have lived in town the longest. Please, let's talk. reval 2024, I am going to state the obvious, at least for me, that most of us have not seen a reval like this one. I listened to other town meetings besides North Branford and read the statement on community pride made by town manager Mike Downs, and they all seem to say that basically the mill rate will not rise and in some cases will come down. I know we have to work the budget and this will determine the mill rate, but I think we should be given some idea of what the council is going to shoot for so we can be prepared to accept, fight, appeal. The residents need to know the impact they are looking at sooner rather than later. I also understand how the referendum works, but even if we do have enough to say no to a budget, it would be very difficult to get the budget down if it is very far out of the way. I'm in the 50% range and I understand the average is 36. I guess I have to appeal now. Again, as we start the budget process, it might be very helpful to give the residents some idea of what the council will be shooting for so we know how it will affect each household. Thank you for your attention in these matters. Bill Savastano. And there was also a letter from Brent Aiken thanking that was sent to Anthony Esposito as a fire chief for the care and compassion and professionalism of the ambulance crew as he needed service back in November, and as a law enforcement for 20 years with the Connecticut State Police. He highly praised those that came to his aid. We hope Brent is on his way to recovery, and we thank Brent for his kind words to our department. Are there any other public comments?
I just have a few questions just for clarification from things that I heard. One, going back to the 824 referral, there doesn't seem to be any room for public comment until you go to public hearing. And so from some of the things I heard with the properties, I did hear that you're expecting to be able to collect taxes on the properties if they're sold. However, if these properties were the highest bidder of, say, a nonprofit organization, and then you can't tax them, so they are not paying property taxes, that is definitely a possibility. So I'm just wondering if before we make decisions and settling our minds, before you hear from the owners of the property, which is all of the citizens, not just our representatives, that you give us all a chance to come in and clearly understand what your intentions are. Because from what I heard with discussion here on capital improvements, money seems to be tight. We've taken on a lot of spending on new buildings lately, and going back to the blueprint committee and the town center, I do not think a large project like that isn't taking into account very important things to our citizenry, like the sports fields, how those would be affected, is taken into account. And my last question is, with the capital improvement plan, is that only for existing buildings, or is that including any new or wanting to be planned buildings?
In the current year, the only building that's approved is in addition to the Public Works building. There's nothing else in this year's CIP of a capital nature relating to buildings. That's the only one.
Okay, thank you so much.
Look, Potter Northford, as I will always tell you, I love this town. And I am also disabled with the veterans. And what is nice is Dave opened his office and gave me information. This is what you get under the roof of this building. You get understanding, compassion, and you get dedication. You walk around this building, and I think our town employees sometimes don't get appreciated enough. I appreciate them all, and I appreciate all of you. It's just, he cared enough. He took some information. He wants more from me, and he wants to see what he can do. Now, other towns, you have to make an appointment. You stand in a long line. Not this town. If you dip, I mean, maybe I abuse it so much. Anthony works with me, Franny works with me, you know, but, so I have to I try to get back when I can. But you guys, you keep our towns, well, there's no debt collectors banging on the front door of the town hall, so I think we're doing all right. You take your time, you all have good interest. I'm sad that Greg's on, you know, he's on days now because he used to wash my house at night when he woke by. So I've lost some benefits, but I've gained some too. I mean, you all give you 100% of your time away from your family. Budget time is terrible for you guys. It's spring, but it's not for you guys. And you have to make hard decisions, but you always seem to make the right decisions. We're moving forward. And again, so I think we've got to recognize our biggest asset, our employees and our council members, and some of our commission members. I'll narrow it down. But again, what I got for service just now is amazing. He cares. And I didn't know. I had a piece of paper. He looked at it and he says, "Get back to me." So we don't know, and you just touched on it, I guess, through some of the public comments. So again, thank you for another good year. I mean, I don't know where they're going. They're going by so fast. Thank you for regenerating the Ag Commission. And I think you're doing it right. The farmers will give you information. The problem was when we formed it, I ended up being the chairman, a phone guy. You know why? Because I had the time. Most of those farmers, I mean, they were too busy being farmers trying to scratch a living out. So with Carol Zebb, if it wasn't for Carol, we would have never got off the ground. I mean, she fought twice to get the roof on the barn. Just because we got turned down the first time, she called me and said, "Cliff, we got turned down. Let's try something else." And we got accepted. So again, with Dave involved and good people, young people, and the farmers, you know, hopefully some of them will want to be on it because they're going to be your source of information. And the DeFranciscos and the Roses and everybody, I mean, they'll give you input. I mean, a phone guy, I didn't know anything. But we had Mike Duty and Al Rose and everybody, and we tried to help everybody. Not everything worked, but what we did get going. And one thing I'd like to see you do every year, ask the farmers to come talk to you in the fall. What do they want? If you're not representing them, you've got to have an open, what do you want from us? That we just ask them. And that's how we get our input, what we would need to do for next year's goals. So I don't know if you can work that in there somehow too. But I mean, you're going in the right direction, in all directions. So thank you very much. Thank you for the good year. And I'll be back to bug you next year.
Thank you.
We look forward to it.
I would just like to wish all of the residents of North Branford a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, have a safe and healthy new year, and we will see you in 2025. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.